You think if you go out and hit the ball hard 10 times, you should have 10 hits. And he goes, you'll die a slow death in this game if you think that way. My name is Billy Lanford. I am the hitting coach and third base coach for the Chicago Dogs. I came back to baseball in what are we going into? 26. So the 24 season after 20 years of coaching and consulting. Did the corporate America world for a long time. After I quit baseball, I played in college, played a little bit after. Started to do art, as we've talked about, because you're an artist yourself. And did some installation art. I mean, I had about 23 years of just doing everything but baseball. 2 days before spring training last year, Chicago called. Needed a guy for hitting, so I obviously jumped at the opportunity, and then they renewed my contract this year. So I'm back. I own a company called Unfinished Purpose, and I work with athletes now on the mental game, because we all say that, baseball is 90% mental, and we spend probably less than 1% on it, and it drives me freaking nuts, man. 99% of life is internal. That 0.01% is the external is fluff. That's where you get your rewards or your consequences. But at the end of the day, life is an internal game. So that's what I do. Teaching pro guys and amateur guys, or girls, the inner game.
I love that mental approach. I love the mental side, the in-between moments, the how you got there, the why you did this, how are you, coping with failure, how are you coping or, accepting your wins. I wanted to talk about how to, I guess, look at a player, see if there's common things between the good players that you see of mental practices and the things they do, and players that maybe don't make it, guys that I see, the talents, Clayton Kershaw kind of person, the guys that are 1%, you're a nomadic kind of guy, traveling around a lot, especially the ones that come from overseas to come and play in the U.S. and the guys that go to U.S. to play overseas. And then the grinder guy, a little similar to the nomad. Let's keep him more of a, he doesn't leave the country. What do you see?
I think those three are really good, but I think the thing they all have in common is you have to develop skills, right? So like, even if you're that, what I would even say probably 0.01%, the guys we hear about, we think that's the guy. And it is like, we say he was born to play baseball. He was born with extreme gifts, but he still has to develop that skill. If you're, whether you're playing high school baseball or professional baseball or college baseball, you may not have been born with the same gifts. I don't call it talent. I think talent is bullshit. Because if it was just talent, you don't have to do anything.
It's true.
You know what I mean? If
you just show up.
Handed to you, and that's BS. Yes, they were born with extreme gifts. Think of like Yasiel Puig, who phenomenal talent, right? What I would say gifts. He was born with gifts. Did he develop them? No. I mean, he's in all kinds of trouble. I think he just got arrested again, right?
Yeah, he did.
Great player, great tools, but he did not develop the skills mentally, that he needed, nor did he develop his baseball skills, or he was probably gift-wise potential Hall of Famer. But then you take another guy who I'd probably call a grinder, like Chris Coast, who coaches in the American Association where I coach, played in the big leagues with the Phillies, won a World Series. I want to say he was 33 when he was a rookie. I might be wrong, so don't beat me up on that if I am. But his first 10, 11, 12 seasons, whatever it was, were in the minor leagues, and most of them were in the independent leagues. But once again, he did not have the gifts that some other players have. He didn't go the traditional route to get to the big leagues, but he worked obviously tirelessly to develop those skills in order to reach the goal that he had. You know what I mean? So I take, when I'm working with an athlete, I don't look at the skill set they have today. Mm-hmm. I look at where they want to go, and we have to develop you. Like I tell them all the time, here's you today, and here's your max potential. So every day we need to start working to get closer to that max potential. But the thing is also every day, because we don't just stand still in life, every day you can also be going away from your max potential, right? You blow off a day, you get into bad habits, you eat shitty, whatever it is, right? You don't meditate, you don't visualize, you don't do things, you don't just stay here. You're actually moving away.
Yeah, regressing. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Even if you're going to the cage and, you're getting your swings in, are they quality swings? Like what are you actually doing? Are you actually being intentional and working with purpose to move towards your max potential, which is, like I said, a guy like Chris Coast did. I mean, he reached the pinnacle of the game, not only getting to the big leagues, but winning a ring. And I think at the end of the day, it's not even about it's not about getting to the big leagues. It's about how close can you get to your max potential? So when you walk away, because we all walk away from the game at some point, when you walk away, do you have regrets or don't you?
I hear that a lot. A lot of guys,
I have
they
regrets.
didn't try it. Yeah. I mean, who doesn't?
That's why I'm back. That's why I'm back in baseball. I won't play, right? I'm 48 years old now, so I'm not going to play, but I did very well in business. And I took everything that I learned because I allowed the game to beat me up mentally, right? Like the game didn't beat me up mentally. I allowed it because to me, my focus, what I thought was success was not success. My identity was wrapped up in the game. There were so many things that I allowed to happen, but also, in my own defense, kind of, and this back, it's not like we talked about any of this either. We didn't talk about the mental game, it wasn't until I was probably in my early 30s that I really got into the mental side, and I did it for business. And I'm like, wait, this is no different. So when I was, when I was mentoring minor league guys, it was like, dude, the stuff I'm doing with the CEO over here is no different than what you need.
You can do well in baseball. You should do well. It'll prepare you with the tools for life.
100%.
There's so much failure. There's so much the cliches. I can say it all here. It's a cliche because it's true.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I interviewed this guy that I played with in college, and then he signed with the Tigers. Played a few years after that. He's a builder now here in Michigan, Sam Flamont, because I have a podcast, as you know, and I interviewed him last week. He said when he was in the Tigers organization with affiliated baseball, as some people don't know, at the end of every game, they have to do a report on every player every day. And his manager at the time said, "Hey, Sam, come here. I want to share my report with you today so you can learn." Sam was like, "All right, great. Like, I want the feedback." Sam had went like 1 for 4 that day, right? So he was beating himself. I mean, this is like your typical baseball guy beating himself up, right? I went 1 for 4, not going to get to where I want to go. And the manager's report was actually completely different than Sam's thought process. It was 4 quality at bats, hit the ball hard all 4 times, good defense, great plate discipline. And what he said to Sam at the end, I think is so, like, this is where I destroyed myself. And I see a lot of players do it because they rely so heavily on the numbers that everyone, especially non-baseball people, want to judge by. But even baseball people judge by them, and it's just not what I do. He said, "Sam, you think if you go out and hit the ball hard 10 times, you should have 10 hits." And he goes, you will die a slow death in this game if you think that way. Because he goes, but what I know is if you go out and do that over the course of a season, you're going to hit over 300.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, to me, it's changing. There's a inverse thinking, right? Something that I use in business, that I use now with players, is how do you how you define success, like with salespeople. Is it going out and getting that yes? No, because if you go out and you have to make that sale, you probably aren't making that sale.
That's right.
You're gonna press. You're gonna try to talk people into it. You're gonna come off as inauthentic, whatever it may be. You're not gonna be a teacher. You're not just gonna be sharing information. You're not gonna be doing things. So instead of going out and trying to get a yes, it's not going out and getting a no. It's going out and just trying not to get a no. I'm just going out sharing with you. I don't need a yes or no. I just need to educate you on my product. Right?
Yeah, it's the same thing. You went out there, you had your quality at bat. You hit the ball hard. you might have hit a 110-mile line drive, that went down the right field line and it's caught. That wasn't your fault. You had no control over that.
But the thing is, though, is with players, like with the inverse thinking, it's not going out and so let's take getting a hit off the thing. It's not off the board. It's not going out and being like, okay, I need to not strike out, or I need to not whatever, or I need to hit the ball hard. It's not that either. It's what do I need to do this at bat to help the team win?
Mm-hmm.
What is the which we've forgotten about in our culture and our society, because it's me, and you can't do it. Baseball is it's a team game. It's the most individual team game there is.
Yeah, there's no quarterback that's going to save you. There's no LeBron James that's going to come through and score 80.
And something else like that I push with the players that I'm coaching, especially when I'm doing team stuff, is how the team goes, you're going to go.
Oh, yeah.
Very rarely is the team horrible with one great player who goes D1. It happens. I'm not saying it doesn't. There's a guy with a lightning bolt for an arm who's throwing 99 or 100. But take away those top percentage guys that were giving gifts that can roll out of bed and throw or hit. So your average player, right, who potentially could go D1 or D2, the team is going to have to excel for them to even get noticed, truly. Mm-hmm. So if the team is going, that means you're getting more opportunities to score runs. You're getting more opportunities to drive in runs. You're getting more at bats. You're just getting a better position. You're in a better position to showcase your skills. And when you go up with that mindset and realize, okay, there's no outs and a guy on second, and I'm a righty and I need to hit behind the runner, I'm going up with intention. So that means if he throws me 4 pitches on the inner half, or that maybe are balls, I'm not swinging at them because I can't push those to the right side of the field. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going up being like, okay, I got to hit a double to left center so that I can score this guy. You're not going up with that mentality. And therefore it frees you to play the game the way, to me, the game should be played. And you're more intentional.
I like it. So with the with the groups of guys that you see, identity anchors for a player. I know some guys can struggle with, trying to break away from I am just a ball player, and then there comes like who they are outside of the game. Is there a difference or similarities between when you see a guy struggling and they 4 or 5 games they're going over? Mm-hmm. No hits, or a guy's pitching and he's just not executing. Mm-hmm. Do you see differences between the different guys, or do you see common threads in between that kind of
There's definitely similarities because people are people, and I think you do fit in avatars. I do the same thing in business, right? Like you do fit in certain avatars, but at the end of the day, you are a unique human being. You're a snowflake, right? I want to start, to me, at the root, because if you're not, I think self-awareness and self-assessment are the 2 biggest things one can do for themselves, right? Like Socrates said, the unexamined life is not worth living. And if you can't examine yourself, you're never going to progress past a certain level. That's a reality, right? So I think you have to become coachable to others and become coachable to yourself. If you think you know it all, you're screwed, right? If you think you know yourself inside out, you're screwed. I've been trying to figure myself out for 48 years, and every day I learn something new about me, right? So yeah, and you need that feedback from others. But so I think that number 1. I think number 2, this game does have a way of owning you, or you allow it to own you, because we play so freaking much. Right? When I tell people, we'll report here in April for our season, and April till, if we, depending on how far we go in the playoffs, it'll be the end of September. And I literally have 4 off days. Our Mondays are off, but they're typically travel days. So they're not really off. They're not really off. Be at a ballpark, but I'm either on a bus or a plane going, or we're doing extra hitting if guys want to come in, right? We always give the guys the day off, but if they want to come in and do indoor cage work, we'll do it. So I'm at the ballpark every day but 4. Right? So the game does have a way of becoming your identity. But what I tell people all the time is the game is just something you do. The game is just something you do. I never introduce somebody, I don't care if they're a coach or a player, and say, oh, he's a professional baseball player. It's like,
Right.
no, this is Joe, and Joe's a friend of mine. And if Joe wants to talk about it, Joe can. But it's just something you do. But I think in order to truly have that, you have to do things outside of the game. Right. And I'm a big fan of being creative. Like we were talking about, like, you're an artist. I've done artwork. I write a lot. I'm a big fan of being creative. Because like I said, the game is just something you do. And when you start doing something else, you realize the game is just something you do. It's no different than if you're painting a picture, you're a photographer, or you're a writer. It's just a thing. It's just a thing you enjoy.
I'm curious how many guys have played baseball. I mean, I know they're out there, but like a number where it's baseball. I'm playing baseball. I'm gonna be a baseball player, and then they start to kind of just they get introduced to something, and all of a sudden I kind of like this more, and that's where I want to go.
I know guys who have had really long, and I won't name names, of course, because I don't think this is a great thing, but I know guys who have had long big league careers that they're still, I don't want to say they're hanging on to that, because they obviously know it's over and they're older, but they still, that's them. They're a baseball guy. And I'm not saying it's all bad, because nothing is all bad or nothing is all good. But I just look at life, and I try to detach from everything that I'm doing. It's just a thing. My business, it's a thing. I like to serve people. I like to help people. I like to make money. But it's just a thing at the end of the day. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If it works, great. You know what I'm saying? Baseball is the same thing. I love to win. I'm very uber competitive. But if we don't win, we don't win. If, I mean, I don't have, like, for me, going back to baseball, my goals are actually more business related than they are like trying to get to the big leagues. I have no desire to go into affiliated baseball. Like, I love the indie game because I love that grinder. I love the guy who was released from AA, who he thought was a pro, he was a prospect and now he isn't. I love that guy. And often when we get him, he's struggling. There's that ego, that's being torn down a little bit. He's in a vulnerable place. So I love that.
At that point, you get to really see who the human is.
Oh, absolutely. That's the thing. I mean, last year we had 4 ex-big leaguers, or 4 former big leaguers on our team. This year, I think so far we've signed 2 phenomenal men. Played this year, the 2 this year, Chance Cisco, and then we just signed Aaron Altier.
Yep.
5-year big league careers. I mean, like 5 years in the big leagues, I don't think people realize, like, there's only a little over 20,000 human beings who have ever played in the big leagues. And you're not just talking Americans, you're talking since like 1890, whatever, 1870, whenever the MLB was, put into place, there's only been a little over 20,000. I don't care if you spend a day up there. You did something that no one else does. So when you look at that, a guy who played in the big leagues, and then he's released and he's playing in the indies, trying to get back, like, yeah, there's going to be some mental things going on there. But because everybody's wired a little differently, it could be, I'm not one to look at mechanics first. I look, unless it's something blatant, right? I go more to the inner, because I get guys all the time who have those, 4 or 5, you're going to, in a stretch of especially a professional season or even a college season, you're going to have those weeks that you're not playing well. That's the game. It's a brutal freaking game. And guys always want to tweak something. And I'm like, well, you already going to that, to me, is telling me it's an internal problem. So if you're already doubting yourself, we got to stop right there. Let's just focus on your mechanics are fine. They got you to this point. There's no reason to start changing. You're not Cal Ripken Jr., who's changes stance all the time. You're not him. So, instead, let's look internally and see where that struggle is. Why are you going into the ballpark? You're already assuming you're not going to do well because you're in a cold spot. But these cold spots are normal. It's the ebbs and flows of life. Just like sometimes go out and hit 10 sales, sometimes you hit none. Like, it is what it is. It's just life. I mean, I'm with these guys all day long for 7 months or 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like your kids a little bit in a sense,
Yeah.
Some of the way some 20-year-olds coming in there, and
it doesn't matter what level you played at. Like, guys who have whether they were drafted out of high school or college, If they have, if they're 25, 26, 28, I mean, I joke all the time that they're like 18-year-olds. Like when you live that baseball life, like you don't grow up in certain ways because you're playing baseball. Like that's what you do. That's what you do in season. That's what you do out of season. You're playing winter ball. You're at the cage. You're getting your work in. So
yeah, there's no time to really, if you're that kind of grinding person where that's all you do. Yeah, I mean, what time do you have to do a lot of things outside of it?
mhm.
That's where
Absolutely.
that, hopefully that getting that creative outlet or something in there comes in handy. I had another talk that I did with another guy, and he mentioned a pitcher called him or sent him a text, and he's like, I did this. I struck out 3 guys. I think he pitched 2 innings. Everything was sounding great, right? And at the end, he was like, I don't know, I just feel off. And the coach was like, dude, that shouldn't even be in your vocabulary right now.
Mhm.
Like, figure out, we got to figure out a way to try and change that mindset of, look what you did. And even if like one little thing happened, there's still a lot of wins, a lot of moments that you had to execute to get to that point. And even if you faltered a little bit, you still have a lot of wins.
I'm not a therapist, and I'm probably going to say something that parents aren't going to love if they're listening to this. And I'm a parent myself, so I have no issues saying it. But I was giving a talk to a team last night, and before I went in to the facility where I was talking to them, I heard the kid was probably, I don't know, 10, 11, 12. And the dad was like talking to the coach about the kid, and he's like, yeah, I just hope he gets better. And I was like, what is like that to me is the issue with the guy you're talking about, right?
Mhm.
And I don't know this guy, so it could be something else, but just speaking on a kind of general sense, the stuff parents have put in their kid because they're with the kid, right? Like, because one of my, like with a pro player, I can say, hey, change your environment. Like, you need to get out of XYZ because you don't need to be around people who aren't speaking life into you and helping you get to where you want to get to. I'm not saying enabling, and I'm not saying not giving criticism and feedback, because you need that, and I'm as harsh as they come. But you also have to be around people who are going to do that and build, build you to what you need to be. It's like when parents do that, or they want to critique, especially when they haven't played, they haven't been there, they don't know the game, but they want to go back on everything. It's the Sunday quarterback kind of thing, right? Sitting in the recliner being like, why didn't he make that pass? It's like,
Yeah.
dude, you don't know what's going on the field. Like, it drives me insane. It drives, like, literally, I'm the least, like, that is the part where I'm the least critic. Like, I'm the least critic in the world, because you're not playing. You have no idea what it's like having, a 300-pound guy rushing you from all sides, and then you're supposed to pick out that little dot you can see on TV and make a throw. Like, shut your mouth.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's where, to me, parents, especially with young kids, like, they should be having fun. They should be learning the fundamentals and having fun. Who gives a
Number
shit?
one.
Like, they'll improve just by doing it at
The
that
two,
age.
the 2 funds, fundamentals and fun.
Yeah, I love that. It's true though, man. Like, I mean, my daughter's young, but like anything she does, like I'm like, are we having fun? Like, are you having a good time doing it? Yes, great. We'll keep doing it. To kind of have that, negative reaction of, well, I hope this happens. I mean, parents need to deal with their own shit so they don't give it to their kid.
Yep.
Just like I do. I have my own shit. You do. We all do.
Yep.
But if we don't deal with our own stuff, all we're doing is passing that down, and we're not helping them reach their max potential. So once again, it goes back to that self-awareness, self-assessment piece, I think. And it sounds silly because so many people are like, well, I do that all the time. But it's like, you don't, though. If we did, the world wouldn't be what it is.
Do you have different ways to motivate guys, or is it kind of a similar approach?
This is where I'm going to push back a little bit, because I think motivation's bullshit.
Perfect. Go for it, man. Let's do it.
But not in a, so to answer your question, I wouldn't use the word motivation, right? I think motivation comes from within. And I think it starts with a strong vision of where you want to go, and then effort. And to me, motivation internally, whether that's from me, from anybody, for anyone, not just a baseball player, but anyone, motivation comes from effort. It follows effort. So when you're putting effort where you need to go, motivation follows, because you get more excited. You start seeing the vision clear. and you're like, I have to have this thing, so I'm going to do whatever it takes to get it. So when a guy is struggling or a guy's down, I mean, we get this a lot, especially during the season. You know, we're in July, we're in August. I always go back to what's your vision? I mean, if it's just here to like, hey, I get to play pro baseball and I'm here, like, I'm not going to waste my time on you, right? Like, you're either going to have your numbers, or you're either going to give what the team needs, or you'll be released. Like, it's pretty easy. But a guy who really cares about what he's doing and he has a vision, then we're going to get back to, okay, like, maybe we need to change your routine up. There's certain parts of my life I've been doing for 20 years, you know, whether it be meditation, visualization. There's other parts, like I read 10 pages a day. I used to do it all in the morning. Now at times I'll do it at lunch. I don't have to do it in the morning. I used to, or I couldn't function, but I had to change that over the years, right? Because it just didn't work for me anymore. And I'm always pushing, you know, the ownership is always on the individual. Always. The accountability is always on the individual. There's no pointing fingers. There's no saying I'm getting screwed or this, whatever. It's like, hey, if you're not getting your innings as a pitcher, pitch better. If your routine, you know, if you're platooning with the guy in the outfield, or you're an infielder platooning and playing every third day, play better. Pretty easy. And that means you're going to have to do some things to get to that level, right? Like, what are we going to have to do with your routine? Because your routine isn't getting you to where you want to go. Really pushing it back on them to evaluate where they're at, why they're feeling. And sometimes they're beat up, they're tired. It may be an everyday guy who's played 75 games, you know, in a row, and he's freaking beat. And maybe he just needs a day off. Reggie was a great example of that. Our center fielder, great guy, played 12 years in the minors, just retired. And toward the end of the year, you could just, like, he didn't want to take himself on the lineup, but you could tell. You could just see it in the at bats. You could see it in his game, and so we gave him a day off, like a couple times before playoffs, and you know, he was refreshed. It was great, you know. But then once again, because of that ownership, he took it, and he was talking to guys on the bench. He was talking to the outfielders because he is a phenomenal center fielder. And he was the biggest cheerleader there was. But that's the self-awareness, self-assessment, saying, yeah, maybe I do need a day off, but I can show up for the team this way.
I mean, like, that the big thing about baseball is you post, right? You play hurt, you come in, you do what it has to do. And at times it might be a little detrimental to yourself or the team a little bit. And you got to have those moments where it's like, all right, bro, let's talk.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, and some of that matters. Like, you get, you know, the younger guys, right? Like, you know, I mean, like I said, we have former big leaguers down to rookies who are just out of college, you know, like, I mean, our age span is like 21 to, you know, I think last year, 36 was our oldest, a former big leaguer. Now, talking the 36-year-old is going to be very different than the 21-year-old, right? And some of these guys don't even have a vision. They're like, I get an opportunity to play baseball after college, right? And I get paid to do it. And I would love to get an affiliated, but they don't have that vision, which most people don't have for their life. But they don't have that true vision of, like, I want to go here. I have to build these skills to get there. So that's what I'm going to work on. And that should be part of my daily routine. And I try to come in and really give some meat to the bone of, like, I get to play baseball. I'd love to play affiliated. It's like, okay, what do you have to do to get to affiliated?
What's the big reason why they don't have that vision, or your opinion on it? Is it the hyper-focus thing? You're playing baseball. That's all you did. You didn't have any life experience, or is it something else?
Yeah, I'll give you my opinion on it, and I think it's a real good opinion. And once again, I know I offend people all the time, so I'm used to it. But most people don't have it. I mean, most people go how the wind blows, right? I ask people because I travel a lot, so I may be down at the hotel bar eating or having a drink or whatever. And you know, if I'm sitting next to somebody, I'm like, hey, what do you want to do? Like, what do you see yourself doing in 10 years? I don't know. Never really thought about it. I mean, it's all the time. People get in and, you know, or like, hey, I want to be in pharmaceutical sales. So they get it. And it's like, what do you want to do next? I don't know. Because that's not the corporate game, right? I mean, I've always had a vision, and I've always saw it and ran towards it. And good things have happened. I've built skills, and then I've had opportunities to use those skills, right? So, you know, people, which most people don't have it. Usually, I mean, with baseball guys, it's like, yeah, I'm going to get to affiliated. Well, what does that mean? You know, like, how high up do you want to go? Do you want to get to the big leagues? Well, yeah, of course. Okay, great.
So it's not specific enough. It's kind of general.
Correct. you have to be an active participant in your life. And I truly don't think most people are. And I'm not saying I'm any better or worse, because there's times in my own life, the ebbs and flows of life, that I'm like, yeah, F this. Like, I'm not an active participant. And I will tell you that, and they're usually like some of the darker times in my life, right? Where I check out. But I think that's how a lot of people live all the time. And I'm not saying they're not doing great things. I'm not saying they're not great family people, but in order to really hit a goal, yeah, you have to know that goal. You have to know yourself really well. You have to have a clear vision of that, not how you're going to get there, because you can't control that. But what skills do you have to build? What do you do really good today? You know what I mean? What are your weak points? Like, what do you have to be doing on a consistent basis in order to build the skills that'll even give you a shot to start moving in that direction? So yeah, with guys that don't have it, it's really just talking about it. And some guys buy in, some guys don't. I mean, no different than, in the business world. And if you don't, you don't. Like, I'm okay with it. It's not my life. Like,
I did my job. I did what I could do for you. It's the next step is on you.
Absolutely. If everybody bought into what I did, I'd be a trillionaire.
Oh man, yeah. Well, everybody likes to follow the path of least resistance. I mean, everybody's absolutely guilty of it. I mean, absolutely, get comfortable in a situation.
I love listening to a guy like Deion Sanders, right? Who obviously, single mom, didn't come from that. But he talks about like when he created Primetime, laying in his bed as like 10, 11, 12 years old and visualizing that and seeing himself reach the pinnacle of what he wanted to do, which was baseball and football. He played both in college, played both at the highest level you can. But he created the vision. And I think it's so, because I didn't do it when I was that age. I of course I wanted to play in the big leagues. I would tell everybody that. But did I create a vision? Was I skill building? To a certain degree, of course. Like, I came up as a catcher, then I moved to infield in college. Like, I worked on my game, but was I really skill building? No, I wouldn't say I was. I'd say maybe my last year of playing I was, because I worked with this guy, Rob Ellis. He was my hitting coach. He coached, he played in the big leagues, wrote a book with Mike Schmidt on hitting, but was I really skill building? I wouldn't say I was. I think I was doing what everybody else does, like going through the motions of, this is what I'm supposed to do. I go to the cage, I get my work in, I'm blocking balls, I'm working on throw downs, some of it by default. But when there's a guy like Deion, who picks that up at such an early age, almost intuitively, that's fascinating to me.
And Bo, I mean, I don't know, would he have done well enough to really refine his game to be a better hitter? I mean, we know the power, the tools, like the rawness is there. Man, I would have loved to have seen what would happen.
Like, I interviewed TJ Hopkins, played in the big leagues. He played for us last year. He just retired as well. But I like his take on it. He's like, they're the guys who were born to play baseball in the big league. And we're talking in the big leagues. And he goes, don't get me wrong, they work very hard. They build their skills for sure. But he goes, they're different. They just are. They were given gifts, right? It's like, as an artist, like Banksy. Banksy is just different, right?
Can you see a guy and know that I have to talk to him this way?
Yeah.
And I have to be, or this way?
Yeah.
How do you figure that part out?
It's intuitive. I've been this way since, when I was in high school, and I took great offense to it when it was said. Like I said, I came up as a catcher, and my high school coach told me I was 14. And no 14-year-old wants to hear this, even though I look back on it now and it was a great compliment. But he said, Billy, having you on the field is like having another coach on the field. And I took it as like, I'm a player. I'm not a coach. You know what I mean? I mean, once again, I was young, pretty immature. But looking back on it now, I get what he was saying. And it was, I wish I would have really owned it then, as opposed to, I'm a rebellious human at heart. Like, I'm a pretty punk rock kid at heart. So like, I like to fight against the establishment and do things my own way. But when it comes to people, like, I think number one, listening. Like, this is, I mean, there's definitely an intuitive part. I'll just tell what I do. But I think a lot of people jump to, you need to do this, you need to do that. And that doesn't work for everybody, right? As kind of like you alluded to, I guess, was saying, how do you talk to this guy or that guy? Because everybody is different, right?
Yep.
So for me, like, even going into camp, like, a lot of it is watching. listening. I mean, simple things like posture, how a guy carries himself. You know, if a guy's slumped over, always head down, there's probably some confidence issues. It's not rocket science. If a guy carries himself well and maybe he's really loud and vocal, there's probably some insecurities there as well. You know, there's always that fine line of confidence and insecurity or ego. Just like there is with the guy who's, you know, putting his head down. It doesn't mean he has no confidence. It just means there's probably a little bit of something going on there. So, you know, I watch how guys carry themselves, always having conversations. I'm very intentional, you know, asking questions, just learning about who they are. And, you know, by their answers, you can get a lot. I mean, I can get a lot in 5 minutes from somebody, right? Just being intentional with listening and asking questions. So I usually take a couple weeks, you know, maybe even a month. Some guys, maybe it's 2 months because not, you know, some guys are guarded and you don't get much, right? So you really got to watch how they're talking to their teammates, how they're carrying themselves on the field, what happens when they strike out with, you know, bases loaded, in those spring training games, or, you know, when they boot a ball, what is their posture? Are they head down? Are they yelling at their glove? Not the glove's fault, but you know, what are they doing? How are they carrying themselves? You know, for me, what's really important, especially on the team aspect, and it's the same thing with working with people individually or doing group or one-on-one coaching, but with like Chicago, with that team aspect, I mean, you're with them every day. So it's really important for them to trust me, and vice versa. But I have to have that trust in order for me to speak to their life, into their life. So if I don't feel like I have that trust, I will not speak into their life.
Have you seen the difference between a coach that has played and a coach that hasn't played, and how players respond to that coach?
You know, our manager and pitching coach played in the big leagues. So I mean, when you walk into a professional, especially a minor league clubhouse, if you played in the big leagues, like you get another level of respect, and you should. And I know I give it 1,000%, whether it's a player or a coach. But I think at the end of the day, it's the same thing. I mean, there's coaches in our league that once again, I won't bring up anybody's dirty laundry, but, you know, they played in the big leagues, and, you know, are they nice guys? Good, like people like them? Yeah. And do people not respect them? Absolutely. I firmly believe, like, in a relationship, you have to have trust and respect.
Yep.
So I really work hard to earn that. And then to me, when I do get to speak into somebody's life, or if they trust me with that, that to me is like the biggest compliment in the world.
Yeah. Because both, I mean, earning and giving the respect, I mean, that doesn't matter who you are. That's at a base level of being a person and a human.
But there's different levels of it, right? Yeah. Like as a human being, of course, everyone deserves, you know, respect and dignity, or respect. I wouldn't say trust, but they deserve respect and dignity for sure. But when you're, you know, when I'm looking at it as, okay, I got 6 months, 6.5 months with this player, like I need them to trust me, because I'm going to say hard things to them. And I always open the door back, say whatever, like, if you think I'm full of shit, tell me. That's okay. Like, let's talk through this. You don't like me, tell me. That's okay. Like, I don't take offense to that. So, because I know I'm going to say some things throughout the year you're probably not going to love. Now, I'll walk with you. I'm not just going to drop a bomb and walk away. You know, if I drop a bomb, it's like, hey, I'm dropping that bomb because your self-awareness isn't where it needs to be, and you're going off this way when you need to go this way. But at the end of the day, that's your choice, right? Like, you're a human.
I see like coaching is like being like an ultimate guidance counselor.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like you got the kids in school and you're trying to figure out what they're going to do in life and get them started and get them going. I mean, the constant kids and people that come through, you're kind of in that office and figuring out what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. And you guys are like a guidance counselors.
Obviously, if you played in the big leagues, you get a certain level of respect off the bat. And then they have to earn trust like everybody else, because once again, if they're just, you know, going in lighting fires, I mean, people want to be progressing in life. And I believe this when I was, you know, coaching in business, and I believe it now. People want to be moving forward. They want to build the skills for the most part. They just don't know how, or they don't know what their track is to the next elevation, if you will. Like for me coming back into a pro clubhouse last year, like I definitely had some insecurities with it. I mean, I've been true, like, yes, I've worked with guys. Yes, I coach guys, minor league guys and all that. But like, it's not the same as walking into a clubhouse with, 25 guys, and coaches who are, baseball lifers, right? Like, I mean, our pitching coach and manager this year, I mean, they have 100 years combined. They're both 70 years old, right? Like 100 made it to the big leagues and literally 100 years combined of professional baseball. Insane. But I think if you have to know the game, you have to know all that stuff, right? But I also had success outside of the game. And that has given me a whole different perspective than they have. And they have a very different perspective than I have. So like with coaching staff, same as last year, like it was a great synergy because I come in from like, a completely different mindset than what they have. So when we would, discuss things or players or schedules or whatever, like I'm looking at it in a very different lens than they are. And they're looking at a different lens than me. So then obviously together we get to come to like a better conclusion, or hopefully, right? Like at least a better hypothesis of what could be.
Yeah, everybody's got a little different tool to work with on the job.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
Guys got a wrench, guys got a saw, guys got a solder,
Mm-hmm.
You're all coming together and trying to build the house.
Well, and even last year, like it was cool last year, cause in indie ball too, you get, and minor league ball, big league, same thing. You get guys at the end of their career, right? So, toward the end of the season, I'm talking business with these guys. You're on road trips. Like we do have some time off, even though we're at the ballpark every day. I'm talking business with these guys about their next step more than we're talking baseball. It gave me an opportunity to share 25 years of my background, right? So the baseball side was easy, right? The AAA guy, a big league guy, going out to lunch on the road or breakfast or just on the bus over the stadium, whatever it is. They're like, hey, I got this idea. What do you think?
That only helps too. I mean, you take your mind off what's going on. You get more confidence in this one area, and it's like all of a sudden, maybe something's a little easier. You're not pressing so hard, and because you got something else going on. Not that you're not focused, but
yeah,
a little freeing, I guess, when you can be like, hey, there's maybe some other stuff I can do, or it's not the only thing.
Well, I think of Kobe, right? Like I love Kobe, RIP, but he, people don't realize, I mean, he was only retired for a few years before he passed away, but he won an Oscar for that children's, I can't think of what it's called now, but that children's podcast and show he had. But what people don't realize is he spent the last 10 years of his career working on learning how to tell stories. Because it doesn't happen overnight, like, and that's something guys don't realize. So like when we were talking about identity, I mean, to me, all this is, I use something called the alignment pyramid. It's been around forever. It's, vision, goals, strategies, tactics, actions. So I look at that in my life and say, okay, what do I need to do? I want to get back into baseball. Great. I want to transition my company to work with athletes. What am I going to do? How am I going to fit this in? And if it doesn't fit into this alignment pyramid, then I'm not doing it. And I think people don't realize that. And it's like, well, I'm going to do baseball, but then I'm doing nothing else. And I don't think that plays. It truly isn't rocket science. It's just being disciplined and intentional, And then I think the hardest part sometimes is believing that good things can happen.
Again, that path of least resistance. It's easier to hang out and do something other than bust your ass. And,
absolutely. Talking to players, that's something I try to be very vulnerable and open to them, and talk about the same thing with myself, because I know they have it. You're human. So we all have it. Like there's nothing you can hide from. I don't need to sit and act like I'm Superman. Right. How are you going to handle that is going to partially dictate or potentially fully dictate how far you actually get to that, max potential. Are you going to let that take over and then just numb it by going out and, golfing all the time or, drinking all the time or binge watching? Or are you going to, say, hey, I do have this and it scares the hell out of me, but I'm going to lean into that and do it anyway. That to me is where the growth comes, right? Like you said, going against, the path of least resistance is where life is lived to me.
The support system that these players have when they come into the league, you know, at whatever age, how much, I mean, I'm sure you've seen different ends of the spectrum, guys who have been brought up, you know, coddled and given everything, to guys who've had to fight tooth and nail. How much of that support system plays a role in how they play their game?
Yeah, my dad and I argued about this last night, actually. In a good way, right? Like, the support system matters 1,000,000,000%, right? Because to many degrees, you are a product of your environment. Like you are. But also with, you know, I'm going to say in the same breath, like you also have a opportunity to change that at any time. You have to be so self-aware of you and your environment, and know where you're going to, where you want to go. And you also have to have, you know, the spine, the backbone to say this environment, especially if you're a pro guy, that means you're an adult. So there is no, you're, you know, 16 and living, you know, or 15 living at your parents' house that maybe isn't the best environment. You don't have that opportunity, right? So that conversation is very different than a pro guy, or even a lot of college kids. But you have to know yourself, where you want to go. And if the environment is not matching what you want, you get to change it. It's your choice.
Right.
When I see people, like, you know, doing what they're doing, and their actions are matching their words, you know, they're living and they're creating and they're doing cool things. Like I love that. An average of the 5 people closest to you. That's fact. I see it all the time. I know I put a little thing out on Instagram about my daughter, even seeing her play at the playground, you know, and seeing other kids, you know, the ones that are doing things that are, you know, beyond what she can do physically, but they're not beyond. She just hasn't tried it. But then when she's with them, she's doing it. So if you're hanging out with bottom feeders, you're going to be a bottom feeder. You may be a couple of ticks up, but you ain't gonna be much up. Right. If you're hanging out with successful people, and I'm not even talking monetarily, just in general, right? Like great father, you know, a provider, protector, you're going to start inching up to that because this person won't allow you not to. So having those parameters and knowing, you know, having boundaries, knowing what you want, what you need, and also being willing to give that. I don't know, to me, that's like, you have to have that. You have to, if you're going to be successful in anything. The game is hard. So knowing that, if you're around negative people, why would you corrupt yourself? Right. And it's the same thing with team culture, right? No matter what organization you're in, no matter, every organization has flaws, every business does, every human does. So like, I already go in with that expectation. If everyone's effed up. I'm effed up. Being real, you're effed up.
It's real.
Like, no, it's the truth. So to me, like having those core values, you know, this feels kind of corporate to say, but because most people just put them on the wall, don't think about them. But truly, like if you're building a team, having those core values, saying here's the, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8 things we're living by, and then really holding them accountable. Like people don't love accountability today, but you have to have it. You have to have it, number one, with yourself, because nobody can give it to you. So to me, like, you know, that ball player in the environment, especially as, you know, they progress through the minor leagues, like, yeah, it's got to become, you have to become more and more ruthless, because I know how important it is, you know?
Well, if you're not happy with yourself, what do you have?
Absolutely. My friend Gabe's dad in high school used to tell us we'd be eating dinner before we went out, or go and do whatever hell-raising thing we were doing because we were idiots. He would tell us I eat over there like 3 times a week, I think. And every time I ate over there, he'd tell us the same thing. Remember, guys, who you walk with is who you are.